Hello everyone, I'm eating some mofongo de lleno, a classic Puerto Rican dish in a beautiful rooftop restaurant with amazing views of El Viejo San Juan or Old San Juan. I'm Ariel with Urbanist, and today we're going to eat some classic Puerto Rican food. I'm going to talk a little bit about the classic cuisine that's over here. Let me show you the views. So I'm in el Punto de Vista rooftop restaurant, which is awesome that there's a rooftop restaurant in Puerto Rico. I actually never knew this. It's a little bit kind of not so obvious when you walk in, so I'll be taking photos of the very front. It's actually kind of a hidden wonder. A lot of restaurants in Old San Juan tend to be inside the older buildings, but here we're right on top of El Viejo San Juan with amazing clouds forming all around. The reason clouds end up forming all fluffy around the island is because in these areas, these other pueblos like Guaynabo, Cataño, they tend to be very rainy as opposed to right here, which tends to be more sunnier. So clouds usually form all around the mountain ranges that surround the islet of Old San Juan. But check out this food. So we have a few items of food, but first let me show you the views before we start eating the food. So these are the views here in Old San Juan. We're right on the top of it. If you saw the last Facebook Live broadcast, we ended nearby there in Banco Popular. And look how amazing it is over here. We can see the cruise ships kind of popping down over there. This is my charger because I've been doing a lot of Facebook Lives and I have to charge up my phone. And we can see El Morro right down there, kind of popping up. Wow, it's pretty high elevated. So amazing views. And I do feel better. I was feeling good all the time. So right here. So let's break down, what did we get? So for appetizers, we got bacalaitos. And bacalaitos are fried codfish. And there's a lot of fried foods in Puerto Rico. Fried codfish, a bed of lettuce, and a classic Puerto Rican sauce, which is mayo ketchup. It's mayonnaise mixed with ketchup, sometimes with some garlic and other spices. Here we have a sampler of 3 different empanadas. Here in Puerto Rico, they sometimes call them pastelitos rather than empanadas. They're basically meat pastry. And then here is the iconic Puerto Rican dish. The best mofongo you ever try will be in Puerto Rico. And this is mofongo de lleno, which means stuffed mofongo. It's mashed plantains that are fried and then mashed up. And then they put some pork meat, usually chicharrones. They're kind of the fatty part of the pork. And also some sauce. So yeah, Doris, that's a good point. These bacalaos are more kind of like samplers. They're more kind of like for appetizer. And we're in the Viejo San Juan. My original intention was to go to a different place that had more food from the island. Aside from mofongo, they had mofongo. They had food from like the inside the island. They had yautía and they had morcillas. However, it was closed, and I was so bummed it was closed. I did not expect a major restaurant in Viejo San Juan to be closed on a Sunday. So I went to the second best option, which is this rooftop restaurant here in El Viejo San Juan. So the real bacalaitos, these are really bacalaitos, but the real bacalaitos tend to be huge, crunchy, very big. These are kind of the miniature versions of it. So fried codfish, let's try these first. And this restaurant is actually really beautiful. So despite the food not looking as kind of as unique as other places, it's a great setting. So let's actually try the food before we go. Wow. Oh. Very soft, very beautiful. It's not, despite not looking like a real bacalaito, it's actually really tasty. The codfish is very soft and tender, and also this is amazingly seasoned. So, what is Puerto Rican food? Well, Puerto Rican food is kind of a mix of You have influences from Cuba, some influences from DR, Dominican Republic. You have your Spanish influences very heavily. Then you got your indigenous ingredients, such as the fishes that are plentiful all around the island because we live on the island, and the best food source is fish, at least traditionally speaking. And then you have, of course, the Spanish influence, but then you also have a small American influence. Obviously, the Spanish influence, it comes from frying your foods. We have the Taino original codfish that would be grown over here. Hey, amazing, man. Thank you. You're a vlogger? Yeah, I'm a vlogger. Yeah. How's it going? So, yeah, making amazing food here. And you have all these coming together. But Puerto Ricans, in short, love their fried foods. There's fried food all around the island. So, next, let's try empanadilla. But before we do, I got myself a piña colada. Only $5 here, which is a great deal. Can't go wrong with the piña colada. Some of them are more dressed up than others, but you just can't go wrong with piña colada nearly anywhere. Now, acapuldias is another popular thing. I didn't get anything here with yuca, but you'll see often a lot of indigenous ingredients used in Puerto Rican food, such as yuca, which is also known as cassava. And a lot of countries in West Africa tend to cook with cassava as well because it was actually imported from the Caribbean into West Africa. And then you also have other food items like tamarind. You have your pacha. You have other things. So let's try the empanadillas. Now this is very European influence, very Spanish influence. You'll see empanadas all around Latin America. However, the Puerto Ricans do one big difference. It's crunchy. Crunchy, 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 very fried, crunchy. Wow. So this one's stuffed with ground beef. Almost tastes like a Jamaican beef patty. It's almost seasoned the same way. The temperature right now is about 87 degrees Fahrenheit. This is like a Jamaican beef patty. Very similar. Very similar. Actually, never been a fan of Jamaican beef patties, to be honest. Let's try the other one. But stay tuned for the mofongo. Okay.
I sure want to know, like, how does it work? Like, they do this,
the Puerto Ricans really stick out in their empanadas, which here they're called pastelillos. You can say empanadas, they'll understand you, of course. However, it's called pastelillos. If you want to really sound like a local, say pastelillos. And inside, this one's stuffed with chapin. Chapin is chaplain fish, and it is really tasty. I love chaplain fish. Now, a lot of these fishes that are made in Puerto Rican food tend to be from really nearby shallow water sources, and especially the ones that are stuffed inside the empanadas or the pastries tend to be the ones that are bottom feeders. So they're usually on the bottom. You usually won't find high-end fish stuffed inside. You won't find like shark or swordfish usually stuffed inside a pastelillo. It's usually chapin, which is chaplain. You'll find grouper also, which is I don't know how you say grouper in Spanish. And then you'll find a bunch of other ones. All right, let me take another bite of this. Oh, of course, I got blended in with a little bit of American influence, the mayo ketchup, which is totally 100% American influence right here. Ooh, look at that. Absolutely delicious. This is really good. Amazing. Very crunchy. That's what I like it about it. A little brief overview of different empanadas. When you go to Latin America, every empanada has a different story. Just like pastries, you'll find pastries all differently around the world. Empanadas have the different nuances in each different country. In Mexico, they're puffy. They tend to be kind of smaller. In Spain, they tend to be. In Argentina, they tend to be really small, very thick pastry, also super stuffed with meat. In Bolivia, you have the salteñas, which I've shown you before in New York City, and that is almost like a soup dumpling version of an empanada. Lots of broth inside, very thick pastry, but very, very big, lots of broth inside. And then you have your empanadas are more Colombian. So they're kind of in between Argentinian empanada and what you know as a pastelillo. Let's try the third one before we go with some mofongo de lleno. Hello, Kay. That looks all so good. Hi, Dennis. Where's Margaret? Ooh, you invited a person. Thank you. No, Nina, you say spicy. Okay. There's a big misconception going on now. I want to clear this up with everyone. Puerto Rican food is not spicy. That stereotype usually comes from assuming that Puerto Rican food is very similar to Mexican food. Mexican food does get spicy, but Puerto Rican food does not. The reason for that is think of this. Everything is deeply, heavily fried. It's very hard, starchy foods, lots of fried foods with oil, lard, and butter. If you put spice on, I keep waving my hand because there's a fly that wants to eat my mofongo before I do. If you want to combine spiciness with something super fried that's all greasy, it's a recipe for disaster. Because when you go to Mexico, usually you have lighter foods. They're not fried in oil in Mexico. Usually. There's of course exceptions. So no, spiciness is kind of not really a thing in Puerto Rico. And it's actually to the point where people just don't really like anything remotely spicy. I have many family members that kind of wince even when having a little bit of black pepper on their food. So yeah, you won't encounter spiciness. Now, usually in Puerto Rico, they'll have like spices like Tabasco and other things that you can add on top of it. And also like Puerto Rican spice sauces. But yeah, that's separate. Your choice of best PR food and NIC will be visiting soon. Kathy, thank you so much for becoming a supporter recently, today. Press that heart button for Kathy for supporting Urbanist. If you have not been, check out the Gallery Inn overlooking north of the wall. Ooh, cool. Okay, thank you for the recommendation, Cynthia. And now you're craving one. Amazing. Okay, all right, let's have this. So, this other American influence. And you'll find this a lot. Ham and cheese. However, unlike the ham and cheeses, empanadas that you might find in Spain or Argentina, which tend to have manchego or other types of awesome cheeses, this is American cheese. Usually American ham. Sorry, the flies are getting... If you're going to Puerto Rico, you have to contend with flies. Just to let you know, it is a thing. You have to contend with it. Go with the flow. Just wave your hand. Just pretend you're a gesticulating Puerto Rican as you're around food. And the more you maybe that's why we gesticulate so much, because gesticulating gets all the flies away. So this is very American influence. It's American cheese mixed with kind of like American bologna, American ham. And it's kind of blended together. It's a little bit weird. As I was a little kid, I really didn't like it too much. So it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. So let's move on to the mofongo de lleno. Try their acapudia and churrasco. It's to die for. Cool. I'm not sure if they have acapudia in this particular spot, but I have had acapudias around the island. Very good. Now, what are acapudias? Gesticulating in public. Gesticulating means moving your hands. That's what it means. Non-pubic in public. That L makes a big difference. So acapudia is kind of like a stuffed cassava, stuffed yuca. So it's like mashed up yuca, and then they stuff it with ground beef or some other type of meat, sometimes chicken. And that's a alcapurria. Sometimes even fish. Nina, you were making a joke. I know. Excuse me. I know sometimes words are not used everywhere, so I just gotta make sure. Okay, let's try the mofongo. Everything else is secondary for me. To be honest, I just gotta have mofongo. This is the official, well, not official, but the premier dish of Puerto Rico. This makes Puerto Rico. It's mofongo, mashed, fried plantains, smashed up, combined with garlic, cilantro, olive oil, or butter. Then stuffed with some chicharron, which is pork rinds. These ones are kind of like pork pieces, so more of the fatty parts of the pork. Cheers. Oh, it escaped from me.
Just like a teacher can get sick from working with kids, you need to prevent that shit. Because she obviously been in her mouth hurting. Okay, I understand that. And I told her what she needs to do about that. What's she told you? I told you. Did I not tell you? You told her medicine. Yes. To cure it.
Delicious. That is truly beautiful. Amazing. Wow. So here they do like a garlic sauce on top of it, which actually goes a long way. Plantain is such a beautiful fruit. Now, unlike these fruits that we've encountered here, such as cassava, yuca, tamarind, we have, moment of silence. Moment of silence. Let's have one more bite. I gotta stop talking. I just gotta eat.
You just said you drink after her. My preventative method is don't fucking drink after her. Okay. Okay, so imagine you gonna take picture of her, you put your hand in it. Right. That's put it in your mouth.
Have this.
You shouldn't do that preventative
Right now.
Duh.
Just turn off this broadcast. I mean, not right now. Just turn it off like after I'm done and go eat some mofongo. It's amazing. But here is their chicharron, and this is carne frita, also known in Puerto Rico. I do think you're crazy outside, eating outside, but what great food. Forgive me, I tuned in late. Where am I? I'm in Punta de Vista in El Viejo San Juan, Old San Juan. It's a rooftop restaurant right here, close by the harbor for the cruise ships. My original plan was to go to another restaurant called Da Verdura. I had a sampler of foods more from the island. However, it was closed on a Sunday. I have no idea why. It's kind of a shitty move on their end. But. So, very crunchy. And when you combine it with the plantains, it makes a beautiful combination. Because you have the crunchiness of the pork mixed with the nice soft chewiness of the mofongo. Now, a lot of people are asking, what is plantains? Well, if you ever seen a plantain, it looks like a giant banana. Actually, they threw away some here because it seems like they were too maduro, too mature. Let me show you. But this is how they look like. Here we go. Moment of silence for that poor plantains that were wasted. Such a shame. Never waste your plantains. If they're too mature, use them for plantain bread. What is a plantain? Looks like a gigantic banana. It is a banana. It's just a different genus or different type of banana, different species of banana. There's many different varieties of bananas all around the world. It's not just the ones that you buy in the supermarket. There's only one type. The other type is the cooking banana, which is known as the plantain. It tends to be a little bit starchier, and it's better for kind of making savory foods. But you can literally find bananas everywhere. And as I was talking about, aside from the indigenous fruits here and the vegetables here, like pineapple, tamarindo, yuca, cassava, etc., the plantain, just like the sugarcane, was imported from Southeast Asia, and it came over here via Southeast Asia and ended up basically conquering the Caribbean and parts of South America. So often you'll find plantain dishes not just here in Puerto Rico, but Dominican Republic also heavily embraces the plantain. You'll find some plantain dishes in Cuba, and you also find a lot of plantains usually used as an accompaniment in Colombia and Venezuela. Let's have one more bite. I am in Punta de Vista in El Viejo San Juan. Let me show you. Yeah, you can't really eat plantains or cooking bananas raw. Right there, El Viejo San Juan.
You can control what you can and pay what you can. That's the whole point of this conversation. Y'all ass went to
So what am I eating it with? I'm eating it with a piña colada with rum. However, cool thing about Puerto Rico is any of the cocktails you can order it without rum. It tastes really good. Piña colada tastes basically like a milkshake without rum. Really good. Highly recommend it. If you're a vegetarian, they usually have mofongo with vegetables. Empanadillas or pastelillos, you might have a little tough time finding vegetable ones. It's not like in Argentina, Colombia, and Mexico, where they have usually have spinach and cheese empanadillas. Here, they really don't. But when it comes to mofongo, you can have easily vegetarian mofongo. Vegan mofongo might be a little bit harder because they tend to cook with butter. Yeah, which kind of sucks. But when I make mofongo at home, I make it with olive oil. And the view is glorious. It's amazing. It's very glorious. So, great restaurant. I'm going to continue eating this. Thank you so much for tuning in. I highly recommend this restaurant. Actually, I'm really in love with this mofongo. Two of the empanadas are amazing. Not too much fan of the ham and cheese. And the bacalaitos, they might not be the classic bacalaitos you might know from Puerto Rico, but they're good and small, good for sharing. Try them out. Delicious. Thank you everyone for supporting. Supporters will be getting extra 360 videos of El Viejo San Juan and then some of the other parts of Yunque. And also stay tuned because I might be going to San Cristobal, which is the larger fort that was built in the 1700s. And we might learn a little bit of haunted history at San Cristobal. Crossing fingers that I have enough time. Alright, keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Punta de Vista Rooftop Restaurant in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Have a great day everyone. Adios.